What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and today we'll be talking all about the Rise of Iron raid and everything we know so far. Surprisingly, we've got quite a lot of info about the raid and even some bits of gameplay that show us where it's going to take place. So I'm going to be going over everything we know so far, the boss fights, the backstory, and also who we're going to be fighting in this raid. So I'm going to read off two quotes from Bungie that tell us a little bit of info about the backstory of the raid. The first one is that we will go into the depths of the earth where we'll square off with the newest raid against monsters we are not yet ready for. The second one is definitely more interesting. It tells us hidden in the Cosmodrome lies the true source of the SIVA outbreak. Guarded by the most zealous and powerful fallen devil splicers, 6 guardians will plumb to the depths to stop the threat at its source. Should they emerge victorious, they will return to the surface wielding powerful and new weapons and armor forged from SIVA itself. So it seems like we're going to be going into the depths of the earth, deep underground, and cutting off the Devil Splicers from their power source of SIVA. We know the Devil Splicers are trying to use this tech to become machine gods, so I can bet for sure this final boss will be some kind of machine god in their eyes. As you'd expect, we have to go down, cut off the SIVA threat, and wipe out any Devil Splicers that might be using the power, and hypocritically, we're going to take it for ourselves, and you can bet the raid weapons and armor will be made out of pure SIVA technology. So if we go over the footage and images we have so far of some of the raid sections, this is a part of the raid, and my guess is it's the beginning and where you actually start. We can see 6 Guardians, and the official Destiny Twitter also tweeted using this very image, saying prepare your fire team for this 6-player raid. This very image is also on bungie.net, and in the files it's called BG_raid, so this is definitely a section of it. We don't know exactly where. Again, my guess is it's going to be where you start. It seems a lot likely that it would tweet out somewhere in the beginning area and not somewhere far down. And like I said, we know the majority of this raid is going to take place underground from what they've said, so it makes sense for the beginning section to be right here. So I'm imagining this to be similar to the Court of Oryx, the starting area where you actually spawn for the raid. In the background we can see some enormous looking servitor. It looks like a dead servitor in some way, and I'm doubting it's going to be coming alive. That would be awesome, but I don't think it's going to come alive and be a raid boss in itself. This to me seems like a machine designed similar to a servitor, and this is my theory, but the center does look like it opens up, and this could possibly be some kind of doorway or gate. I can imagine those panels sliding open to reveal something, and maybe this thing is actually called the gatekeeper that allows us to go deeper into the wall and eventually go underground. Now, one strange thing is that in the Yalahorn trailer, we can see part of the boss fight takes place here. So this guy is actually called the Machinist, and he's definitely not the final raid boss. I doubt he's even in the raid, to be honest. I'm fairly sure he is a strike boss. Maybe even he could be the final boss for the campaign, like we always do with every raid, where we kill him or weaken him, and then he retreats to where we'll finally face him as his true form. Maybe he's going to be revived with the SIVA technology, and then we kill him as his final form. But this guy is definitely not the final raid boss. There is no chance Bungie would ever show that off in a trailer. We have to wait till the final game comes out and actually face him in the raid. That is when we're going to see him. They'll never show him off in a trailer or an image. My guess is that this guy is the boss of the campaign or either a strike. So if we move along to the next bit of footage, we can see once again another section of the raid. We know this is the raid because there's 6 Guardians, obviously, and also on stream they did say this is part of the raid, but they tiptoed around it and didn't give any details about what we're facing or what section this is. There's also a jumping section where we can see a timeline of the Guardians actually running across the top of the wall, and there appears to be a massive gap or a hole in the wall, and what they do next is simply jump off of it and reach this bridge down below, where they seem to get through the wall again and on top of it, where they confront this machine. So whatever this thing is, it definitely looks awesome, and I cannot wait to see how it works. This is exactly why I love the Fallen and why they're so interesting as a race. They come up with these crazy mechanics like this and these weird contraptions. So this is going to be some sort of mech boss. Maybe he's not even a boss, and maybe it's just like a machine you have to kind of get through and avoid. But at some point they need to actually turn around and run away from him. He seems to have a load of different weapons and a lot of different attacks for you. So there's going to be a lot of dodging going on right here. And I can imagine there's a lot of running away from this thing until you figure out a weak point and how to actually destroy it. And I'm really hoping there's like a tiny little dreg inside piloting the machine that you have to force him out and eventually kill him. I think that would be awesome. This thing is definitely very menacing with a lot of tools to try and destroy you, so it's going to be very difficult to work through, of course. So beyond that, we don't actually have any footage of what lies beyond this and what is deep underground in the final sections of the raid, and I wouldn't expect any footage either. I don't think Bungie's ever going to show that off. This is quite a big preview of the raid. We've never really had this much of a look at it before, or at least one of the bosses and where we're going to be fighting in it, but this seems to be the most we're going to get, and I wouldn't expect Bungie to ever show off any more of this. They're always very secretive about the raids. They're not going to show the final boss, they're not going to show the mechanics, so this is pretty much all we're going to get, and I wouldn't expect any more than a few seconds of maybe a glimpse of something underground. So there's a little bit of a description of what we might face down there. There's something on the Bungie website which is pretty interesting, and it reads, "The Iron Lords encountered an enemy they could not defeat. Now Lord Saladin is the last Iron Lord, and he honours the memories of his lost brothers and sisters as he waits because he knows that someday the thing that destroyed the Iron Lords will return." I think it's pretty interesting they referred to whoever killed the Iron Lords as the thing. Definitely sounds like it will be some kind of weird mutation. They don't refer to it as he or she, and they don't even call it like a king or a kel or a god. They seem to refer to it as a thing, so I can picture some kind of Fallen who has become a freak of nature that's been fused with a ton of this SIVA technology, or maybe the final boss isn't even a Fallen, maybe it's simply SIVA itself, but whatever it is, I'm imagining a lot of scenes looking very much like this, with a lot of red. So like I said, we don't know much about what's going to be in the final stages of the raid, and all we can do at this point is speculate. All we do know is the final boss is in the depths of the earth, and I just really want to see what these bosses are going to look like. Probably some horrific mutations and hybrids of Fallen and Machine. One thing I really want to see would be some crazy like giant spider boss that's like fused into a wall, and it's got these massive legs that try and stomp you. I can definitely imagine something to do with spiders, seeing as the Fallen are a little bit based off of them and arachnids, but the main thing to remember is that with SIVA, the possibilities are endless what kind of mutations and freaks of nature they can actually come up with, and I can bet the Devil Splicers are going to have some real evil stuff down underground. One thing I do want to mention is that I'm fairly sure this battle axe will make an appearance in the raid. If you don't know, this battle axe that is actually on the cover and also in a few snippets of gameplay, this is confirmed to be a relic, which means it's temporary and you pick it up from various sources. Every single raid we've had so far, from the Vault of Glass to the King's Fall, have had a relic, and all of them recently, since the DLCs, have been in the game as patrol items as well. The Aegis, of course, wasn't. That was just inside the Vault of Glass. The Sword of Crota, that was in patrol missions in the Earth, and also we could use it on the Moon and take out various enemies with it. And then, of course, it was what we used to kill Crota. The Scorch Cannon was, again, very similar. It was a relic that we could use in patrol. And, of course, there wasn't a raid in the House of Wolves, but it was available in the Prison of Elders as a drop. And also the Interloper relic, that appeared again in Dreadnought Patrol, and, of course, in the raid as well in most of these sections. So I can guarantee this battle axe will make an appearance in the raid, because they always have some kind of relics like this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video with everything we know so far about the raid, and also my speculation and hopes for it. Leave your thoughts down below. What do you think about the raid so far, and what you're hoping for? Drop a like rating on the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.